Hello, it's Talking Reds. Good morning. It's John Gibbons here with Dan Austin from a fairly sunny Liverpool. Liverpool face West Ham United away in the Premier League tonight. And Dan, you're here. You go for breakfast with Phil, then you're off the train going down.
Yeah, made a really good morning plan of it. So yeah, breaking a little bit. We've got a keen hour stopover in Crewe to spend in the boozer because we've been minge bags about it and paid for the slow train rather than the one that takes you straight there. But I'm quite excited for it. I feel like in a way the end of the season has sort of crept up a little bit and there's not many trips left.
Yeah.
Which is partly because you'd usually be planning various European ones and a couple to Wembley at this stage in comparison with the last few years. So yes, made sure to do this. Made sure to be doing Leicester. And yeah, quite excited about it.
Yeah, you're right, because we were having a chat the other night and I was saying like, oh, I'm not going to West Ham and then I might not do Leicester. Then I thought, well, hang on, it's just Southampton then left and last game of the season. Listen, we don't know what's going to be riding on that sort of, if anything, for both sides. Yeah. And so, yeah, you're right to get them in because after that it's just a long summer.
Exactly. And then at this stage as well, who knows if there'll be European trips and stuff like that in the season to come as well. So you've kind of got to take advantage of it while it's there, I think. Because it's a midweek as well, it's a stayover. So this is our European Cup semi-final, effectively. Yeah. Just you care an awful lot less about the result, I suppose.
Yeah, not quite sort of Bayern Munich in the Champions League, but if you are going, you are heading down, I hope you enjoy it and hopefully we see a decent Liverpool performance. I'm not expecting massive changes, Dan. He seems to have sort of settled on what he likes at the moment. The only one is Kanate. It doesn't look like he's going to be fit. Whoever it is comes in for him, I think it'll probably be John Matip. You just feel a little bit less sure about it. I know Kanate didn't have the best of games at the weekend, found it tough up top. I didn't think the referee particularly helped him personally, as you know, from watching it back. But I feel like, you know, regardless of that, sort of whoever comes in for Kanate, if indeed they decide to make that change, you just generally feel a bit less sure about.
Well, I suppose the main thing about it will be as well, they maybe can't do the formation change or whatever you would call it that they've been doing lately where Alexander-Arnold plays right back and midfield at the same time. Maybe if Gomez was playing, they could still do that and that he's used to doing right back a bit more. Yeah. And he's quite a bit quicker than Matip, but if Matip's playing up against it, it'll probably be Ben Rama on that wing, I think. Then I don't think you can ask him to basically be doing, well, do your centre-half job, but also basically right back as well sometimes. So they might just have to revert to sort of stock 4-3-3 like it was before. Yeah. And maybe that'll be a bit better now because they've got a bit of confidence and they like each other again, maybe a bit more because they've had some better games and better results. But I suspect it means that even if, you know, where they all stand on the pitch at kick-off looks the same, I suspect it means that the shape in practice is probably actually quite different, and that means then that it's not just, oh, the centre-half slightly different. It's sort of has knock-on effects for everyone, including like whoever plays down the middle up front.
Yeah, it's a good point because, you know, generally, even if Kanate would have played, they've got, you know, a forward line that's got itself into a little bit of form. You know, they've struggled this season, West Ham, but now Antonio's back in the goals. Bowen's a little bit more like it. You mentioned Ben Rama there, and so, you know, even if we were, you know, at sort of full strength, if you like, there might have been an argument to sort of do something similar anyway, because, you know, we are going to be need to be a little bit more mindful what's coming the other way than maybe Forest at home, even though they did score twice.
Yeah, also their crowd will be right up for it. Obviously they will anyway because it's a night game against the big side. It's towards the end of the season and they could still do the points really, but also what they're doing in Europe I think is very helpful for that. So when we went last year, for example, and got beat 3-2 or 3-1, did we?
Oh yeah, we definitely got beat.
Yeah, we conceded 3.
Yeah, I think it was 3-2. I think we pulled it back to 3-2 towards the end.
Yeah, did Origi score? No, Origi had a big chance to level it late and didn't. But the atmosphere was noticeably louder that day than it had been in previous years, and I think it's because they were doing the European campaign then, and they got used to sort of having night matches and all being up for it and that kind of thing. So I think they've kind of changed a little bit in the past couple of years as well in terms of what they bring, and it's always a bit horrible going there in terms of it being loud and stuff like that. So that's the kind of thing that maybe first 10 minutes you've just got to kind of step on and quell, a bit like Leeds, to be honest. You know, they didn't come flying out the traps at Leeds. They weren't brilliant in the first like half hour or so. They were just quite sensible and really killed the crowd, to be honest, quite early doors and stop them building up a head of steam either on the pitch or in the stands. So they might have to do a sort of similar job, but tactically in a different way with this.
Yeah, it's a good shout, and approach it in a similar way to sort of Leeds, which was a sensible performance first until it became a very good, very exciting one with lots of goals is maybe a good way to go. In terms of, I've mentioned there the possible forced Canati change ahead of them. I just don't think he'll do anything different. I don't know about you. I understand there's a keenness among some people to get Thiago into the team because he's such a good player. But I think it looks to me like he's going to do similar to what he's done in past seasons, to be fair, and just sort of keep going with what's working for him at this stage.
Yeah, that quite often happens towards the end of seasons, doesn't it? Whether by design or just through a combination of circumstances, he ends up with a side, and that's the side that gets him through sometimes multiple competitions. He doesn't really make changes towards the end of the season, never mind now in just one with a few games left. I would pick the same front six, definitely. I don't think anybody that hasn't been starting lately has done anything to justify getting in ahead of someone else, and I don't think anyone that's been playing has done anything which merits them being dropped either. The only thing would be if he thinks, we're playing the next couple of midweeks, so maybe I could just do with fresh legs in one or two positions or something like that, one midfielder and one forward. He might do something there, but in terms of what the best way to get the points is, I would just be picking the same six. Thiago was dreadful, to be honest. He came on the other day. He drops the odd one in, doesn't he?
For a great player, he's got an awful performance.
When he comes on as a substitute, I saw him play for Spain against Italy in the semi-final of the Euros, and he came on as a sub, and it was right up there as the worst substitute appearance I've ever seen. It was probably on a par, if not surpassed. Remember Milner at Goodison that time when he came on and just blammed the ball at the advertising hoardings for 40 minutes or whatever it was. Luis Enrique brought him on. Spain had all the momentum with them, and it was like, right, we're bringing on our main passer now, we're going to be the ones dominating the ball, creating the chances. And he just kept hitting like attempted 60-yarders out for goal kicks, and you're all looking at him like, you're the one that's come on, you're the one that's meant to not be tired and is meant to be doing the good things. So he is capable of that. I think that Jones has been playing really well, and also I think that if you play Thiago with the other two, it ends up being quite a flat, quite low three, and quite low energy three as well, where not any of them are really going to carry the ball forward 10 or 15 yards and get you up the pitch, and Jones is more likely to do that. So I would just stick with what they've been doing in midfield, I think.
Yeah, let us know if you make any changes. I think he might have his eye on Fulham to make a couple, so to get through this. The Tottenham game is then on Sunday, which I think he'll go as strong as he can, and then he might have his eye on Fulham for a couple of little changes. Maybe the first start in a while for Luis Diaz in that one. That'd be exciting, but I'm sure he'll be on the bench tonight, but a decent option there. Just to bring in some chat about from the comments. It's all over the place this morning, to be honest with you. Dwayne Pipe says, have you seen these birds around town for Eurovision? We've got two right outside our office. I don't know if you saw it as we were driving in. There was a big inflatable bird, and then there's one on the front. It's something to do with Eurovision. I'm not quite sure sort of what the direct connection is, but listen, pretty things around in the city centre that are popping up, I'm sort of all for, and it does feel like...
I genuinely thought you meant European women.
No, no, the big inflatable birds that go to
the thing that was in the little entry. Okay, it makes noises as well.
I'm not sure. I was just describing it, the type of bird.
Oh, I thought you meant it was like a motion sensor. You walk past and it's like
maybe it does. Maybe it does. Who knows? There's one there, and then there's one sort of on the Strand as well, just in front of our office. But
there's the buses and the trains have been Eurovision-fied, haven't they?
Yeah,
and stuff like that. I'm excited for Eurovision anyway. I'm going. Jordan, who's behind the camera, we're going the Friday night. To the final, like not pre-recorded, the dress rehearsal, where they sing all the songs and do fake points and stuff. I'm absolutely made up. We've got it. I really like the Eurovision, and it'll never happen here again, will it?
No.
I mean, the UK never wins anyway, and it's just bizarre circumstance that it is here. And certainly if it was here, it'd be in a different city again. So the chance to have all these people come over and just have a big party for like a week, 10 days, whatever it ends up being, I think is just great.
There's so much going on as well. Like I'm trying to sort of keep tabs of it, of everything. Like I've got tickets for the thing on St George's Plateau. Are you going to that?
Yes, I am. It's the lottery thing in it, different artists and stuff are on. Also, there's something going on in the Baltic the same day at 2 in the afternoon that involves a hot chip DJ set.
Really?
We should sort this after we're done, basically.
Yeah, well,
because that's your 2 p.m. I think it takes you till 6 or something, and then that's at 7. So a little mosey up, stop somewhere for one on the way. It's a great day out.
I tell you what, this is planning. My kids are with the grandparents as well, so get them up early. You have to watch Laura. I tell you what, she'll be lively. My missus, but yeah, there is absolutely sort of loads going on, and it is fantastic to see. Big comeback performance of Frankie Goes to Hollywood as well on sort of the plateau, but it does feel like a really exciting time to be in the city, and like you say, it's probably never going to happen again. So I'd encourage people, if you are able to get to Liverpool, to come. There's all the free stuff going on at the Pier Head. I'm actually playing a week Friday as part of a Liverpool Ukrainian musicians mashup. I don't know if I've ended up being part of the Liverpool representation, but I presume the Ukrainians are better. They've sent their best lads, and Liverpool sort of have ended up with me. Now there's loads of really good performances. So yeah, there's stuff on every night, there's stuff on every day, there's stuff on that Dan just throws in that you just sort of find yourself sort of finding about. So yeah, hot chip DJs are too. That's like going to a festival, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it
there's
really
a hot chip DJ on it half too.
There's all sorts of other people doing it as well, but that's the one that caught my attention. They were listed first, understandably. So yeah, I'm banging to the idea of that. I think as well, if people are actually interested in going to that, I'm pretty sure that it's a Ukraine thing. Like every penny from the ticket you buy goes to a Ukrainian cause of some sort. Yeah. So that's good as well.
Yeah, that is good. They've done the Ukraine thing quite well, I think, haven't they? Because obviously Ukraine was also meant to have it and couldn't, and I feel like they've done there's reminders of that wherever you go.
Well, that's why Liverpool got it in the end, wasn't it? They kept narrowing it down. Like I think like 12 cities or something tried to make entries to host it, and it ended up being Liverpool or Glasgow before it was announced on the One Show, like the FA Cup third round draw or something. And the key thing was that Liverpool was doing the Ukraine stuff a bit bigger. I think there's something like every kid in the Liverpool City region is going to be taught how to introduce themselves in Ukrainian or something like that. There's all different stuff going on in schools and across the city. There's different like plays and museum exhibitions and just all sorts, basically, isn't there, all the time? And I think Liverpool committed to that a bit more than what Glasgow did, which is why they ended up giving us it.
So there you go, come to Liverpool over the next few weeks. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. Try and find somewhere to stay. I think the hotels have calmed down a little bit and all that, and yeah, get involved. Or if you can just get a train here for an afternoon or an evening, it's sort of well worth doing. We probably should talk about football. There's a bit of transfer chat. There is a Gutter show tomorrow, so for all your Gutter fans, Rob Gutman is currently collating all the links, nonsense and otherwise that are going on, and we'll be talking about that on our audio show tomorrow. I think it's me, Rob and Mo. But a couple of points here. Someone says, James Bond says, if Mount stays at Chelsea, thoughts on Calvin Phillips for £35 million. There's a little bit of talk that Calvin Phillips, his time at Man City is going to be over, barely played, and that Liverpool are one of the clubs who are interested, which is quite interesting in itself. CF2K16 says, great to see Dan on Talking Reds again. So there you are.
Thank you very much.
One fan, at least. And then Dwayne Pipe says, I'd take Paulina from Fulham in a heartbeat. How much are you sort of following it at the moment, the ups and downs? What have you made of sort of the Mount thing and some of the other links that are coming out at the moment?
I just think the Mason Mount thing makes loads of sense for everyone concerned. Chelsea need the money, Mount needs the move, I think, at this point, and Liverpool need a centre mid who has an awful lot of his qualities, and they need homegrown lads as well, because they're going to lose quite a few. So I just really like that to happen. I think he's a really excellent player. Demonstrated it for many years. He's not a particularly good season this year, but no one at Chelsea has. And an awful lot of players at Liverpool really haven't, and it doesn't mean that they're awful necessarily. So I would really like that to happen. Phillips makes zero sense to me. He's played about 5 minutes. The last thing Liverpool need are more centre mids who are chronically unavailable, to be honest, and I think everyone probably knows that. Another thing about Mount, to be honest, is that he's very rarely injured. And I think you sort of lose the value of that sometimes, just having players who are available all the time. Doesn't mean that they need to play every week, but one of Wijnaldum's great strengths really was that. I don't think he ever had a proper injury at Liverpool. I think there were a couple of times where he was ill and missed matches, but I don't think he ever missed a match, or it maybe only was 1 or 2 through injury. And like Salah is pretty much similar to that as well, isn't he? The time he got booted by Hamza Chowdhury, I think, was one of the only times he's been missing for an extended period through injury. Having the odd player in a position like that makes everyone else's life easier, because there's always, well, he can play. You might not necessarily want to pick him for X amount of games or whatever, but he will be available, and that makes a big difference. So I would really like it if that happened, and I think I don't know, I feel like it's just sort of been on the cards for long enough that it has been getting worked on and will happen.
Yeah, it's interesting that apparently Todd Bowley sort of stepped in. I mean, he steps in on a lot of things by the sounds of it, but had a bit of a chat with him. And all the noise out of Chelsea was they thought the chat had gone well and maybe they could persuade him and stuff like that. But it felt to me like I've sat in rooms and gone, yeah, defo, yeah. And now he's having an operation to basically get himself right for this mad training camp to do it in Germany in July. And I just feel like it's like there's been a lot of nodding by Mason Mount because he's got some mad fella in front of him and he's like, I'll just smile to this billionaire.
Yeah, from what I know about him, I would just like conversations with him to end as quickly as possible as well. By which you don't argue anything. You just go, yeah, I'll sort that. I'll look into that.
Yeah, but it was interesting to me looking at all the stories like coming out saying, oh, they felt it got really well, and who knows, they are
workplaces. I think people underestimate how similar like football clubs are to normal workplaces. Like if your mad new boss, CEO takes over, who's got a load of mad ideas, and you think he's a crank, and he starts casing you, and your contract's up, and he's talking about you're part of his big plan to do data or something like in your business, and you go, oh yeah, sounds good that. And in the back you're on LinkedIn all the time in the office looking for anything you can get your hands on. We've all been there.
Feels like the most likely scenario to me. Pochettino might be going there, which is an interesting one though. If I always felt like he'd go back to Spurs, but I think
it seems like Tottenham just haven't belled him.
Yeah.
And in that case, he's got to get a job.
Yeah.
I thought he was probably going to be the Real Madrid manager. Because Ancelotti, it seems, is going to be the Brazil manager.
Is he?
That's pretty much done.
That's a great job, isn't it?
It's the ultimate job, I think.
Yeah.
Even like, he might get sacked if he only gets like a quarter final of the next World Cup, but it's managing in like California, didn't it? He's got 4 years of not doing an awful lot really before then.
Yeah.
Qualifying's a piece of cake. It's really stress free apart from like 2 weeks. By which point you've been paid about $20 million or something like that, probably.
And he'll have enjoyed himself because he's Carlo Ancelotti.
Yeah, it's shoot him down to the ground.
It makes loads of sense for everyone because he's great at just managing big names, isn't he, as well, and just getting them to chill out a bit.
Also, a lot of the big players, Vinicius, Rodrigo, Militao, the others he knows and manages. Casemiro, you'll know as well, really well.
Fair play to whoever's boxed this.
Yeah, whoever at the Brazilian FA wins. I've figured this out. Just pay him whatever he wants. It makes loads of sense. So then if Pochettino's not going to do that job, then for whatever reason, maybe it's just going to be Zidane again. Maybe they just ring him and he says, well, yeah, I'm not doing anything else.
No one's rang me either.
Then Pochettino has to take some job. Bayern's gone.
Yeah.
So he's got to do something. And maybe the idea of having all that money to spend appeals to him. Maybe he thinks he can tame Todd Bowley in some way.
Just say at some point we need to try and build a football team.
Yeah, and I mean, if Tottenham get Nagelsmann, then that probably also makes an awful lot of sense for them. Maybe it just ends up working out quite well for both of them. Chelsea definitely need like a dad, I think, who'll sort of manage this enormous group of young lads and get them to believe in something, because it seemed like a big part of the reason why Potter didn't work was that they just didn't like him, basically. He just wasn't sort of he didn't have the sort of authority or reputation, and they decided that they weren't into him. And the same with Nagelsmann, really, actually, at Bayern. They just decided they weren't having him because he was in his 30s, which seems incredibly unprofessional to me. But if that's what they like, then you have to manage around. You have to sort of plot as the owner around that. So they both seem fairly smart if they end up with those people, but there are fundamental issues at both of those clubs that go way beyond the managers, so they may just not be able to make it work either.
Apparently Poch is confirmed there to Chelsea. I just thought it was a bit of a chat in there, but someone's going, no, it is confirmed there. So yeah, see how that goes.
Can we get an answer? Is he doing it now, or is Lampard still doing? I think Lampard's
gone to the end of the season. I think it was the chat.
That's going to be miserable. That last 5 games or whatever they've got
for everyone.
Everyone's just waiting for the new fella. The new fella's probably in the office telling them who to buy and all this sort of stuff, and Lampard's just sort of knocking about the place like a dead man walking. Really strange working scenario, that, isn't it?
It is strange, but it's a strange club. Listen, we'll leave it there. As I say, loads coming out at the moment on the Anfield Wrap. We've got loads more previewing the West Ham game, both audio and video. So Josh hosted the Team Talk show, which looks at the press conferences, had clips on that. That came out yesterday. Obviously, we've got an audio preview with Ian Ryan as well. Then straight after the game, audio and video reaction to hopefully a big Liverpool win. Neil is going down to London a little bit later than Dan, but he's going down and then he's going to grab a few people to do a post-match show in London straight after the game. They'll have been to the ground. We're doing the video up here. I'm hosting that, not lucky enough to go down today, but I'll watch it in town, and then we'll be doing a little bit of video, I think, from the Vines, the big house by Lime Street. And then tomorrow, loads more reaction to the game as well. And as I mentioned before, a gutter show looking at all these transfer links and more. So loads of reasons to subscribe, loads of reasons to download the Anfield Wrap app and get involved. And in the meantime, thanks a lot for coming in, and have a great time. Have a good trade. Let me know how you get on in crew. An hour's an interesting time because I think you'll probably just end up staying in the station bar because it's fundamentally all right, but there is potential time to sort of have a mooch.
The fact that it's so close, though, it's literally on the platform and it's an hour, you could get through a swift 3 or 4 there if you wanted to.
It probably is an extra pint, isn't it, if you'd rather than turn about.
Yeah, and then suddenly get off at Euston and find yourself half gone, really, already.
Steam
by
off
3
the train.
PM.
Steam off the train. What a day. Jealous might come. Cheers. Thanks for joining on the comments. Up the Reds.